If you hear that banging noise, that is the neighbours. Hi everyone, it is Miranda here. Who else would it be? Today I'm not going to waste any time. The Lunar Chronicles. The first book is Cinder. Second book is Scarlet. Third book is Cress. And the final book is Winter. For the non-spoilery people, the basic thing behind this whole series is it's the fairy tale retellings done in a dystopian way. Getting the fairy tales but without the fluff. And by fluff I mean the over-exaggeration of certain themes. Happily ever after, everything is perfect in like 2 seconds sort of thing. Cinder is off Cinderella. Got the slipper. You can't get any more Cinderella than that. Scarlet is off Little Red Riding Hood. The theme with the big bad wolf. Cress is off Rapunzel. She's kind of trapped in a satellite tower. She's got the long hair going. Winter is off Snow White because you can't have a series without Bad Apple. Based in the future. And I'm talking 4 or 5 world wars have happened. We have aligned ourselves with Luna, the moon. So apparently there is moon people and some of them have come to Earth. If you've seen the movie Alita Battle Angel, it kind of gave me those sort of vibes. More like that punk theme vibe. I felt like I was really feeling that just for the world building. So Cinder, the first book, is based in New Beijing, and the way the world works these days is we still have countries. There is like this whole empire thing with the, you know, a king and a queen, governments, humans as well as people have medical advancements. Cinder, the main protagonist of the story, is a cyborg. Picture Alita, but with more skin and an actual human. For any humans that have been in accidents, they can be modified. Cinder in this book, she, well, presumably was in an accident and she lost her arm and also her foot. Robot parts there, but it doesn't stop there because they actually like put a plate in your brain. They also do have little like Wall-E robots that are more robotic and they're like servants and helpers within household. We have discovered a race of moon people. Now these moon people have powers and they live on the moon. The moon travel from moon to Earth is quite common and everyone does it. It's not really the big bad thing. The moon is ruled by this evil queen called Lavana and she's out to dominate Earth. She's trying to align herself with the Prince of Beijing. And of course, Cinderella had a prince. So the prince in this novel is Prince Kai. And, you know, obviously he falls in love with Cinder. Lavana gets jealous. So there's this whole thing going on in the whole series. You need 2,000 pages to explain exactly how all this connects. That is the end for the non-spoilery section. If you want to be spoiled, stick around. Let's go. I thought originally, first time, that this world would complicate me. Sometimes when books get a bit too futuristic, a bit out of this world, it can juggle my brain. Marissa Meyer has this way of writing, and I've read her other book, Heartless. She explains everything really nicely. Cinder starts out as such a loner. She is a damn old soul. How is this girl 16? How is she 18? These teenagers are saving the world. I don't know how I would do that. And I'm 24. Teenagers amaze me in YA books. We have the relationship with her stepmother, Audrey. Her stepmother is such an evil bitch. I literally cannot stand her. The audacity to call her all these names, to keep shunning her and putting her down. You are obviously just jealous of Cinder. And she was working her ass off every single day. What did her stepmother do? Nothing. Straightforward to Winter. What the hell, Cinder? She gave her mum the royalty to that card. Stops actually Luna's from losing control. I really liked how Cinder did that because it showed that she was absolutely a freaking queen. I want to talk about Penny. Out of the 2 evil stepsisters that we're supposed to be having, I felt sorry for her. She was so naive and young and you could tell she, you know, had a bit of an on and off relationship with Cinder, but apart from Aiko, she was just Cinder's only best friend. Cinder tries to save her and literally she's this close with the freaking antidote. Penny dies. I would have just shoved it in her mouth anyway. I think it was in Scarlet or the second book. It was in the second book, I think. Penny's little memory card ID thing, how she just threw it in the field. Does anyone else want to know what happened to that memory card? And I thought that whole system was really weird and that was your whole ID and identity. And then you literally just scan that in places where they were putting them. They were putting them towards the Lunars and the wolf enhancement people. Penny passes away. We really get to see more of Aiko now. I absolutely loved Aiko. You know, she was damaged at the beginning and she came back as a spaceship. Then next minute she's actually got like a robot, this body that no one can destroy. And it's funny the amount of death situations she got through. I was trying to contemplate, if we're in Cinderella, we need a fairy godmother. Aiko, really the fairy godmother, guiding her along, because Aiko had a lot to do in this whole series. Always looking out for her, always jumping in front of her, always protecting her. Princess Celine theme, yo, Aiko gets it from the very, very beginning. No shit, she was Princess Celine, because Cinderella is like literally the most popular Disney princess that there is. She's original, she's classic. This Dr. Erland, I did not trust him. For the first half of this book, he was also Lunar. He was working for Lavana in the past. He was obviously trying to solve the antidote, trying to work out these medical advancements. Learning about the Lunars, and we only got a snippet of it in book 1, like it went on through the whole series. They are freaking freaky people. Your queen ranking Lavana Luna, the thermometage. I don't know how to say that word. I don't think anyone knows how to say that word. Their mind control powers, what they can do, but how if they don't use them? They can literally drive themselves insane, like Snow White here, like Winter. When we were on Luna and we saw the Lunars, I was getting real Hunger Games vibe. You know how the Capitol dress up and the way they act? Plague thing that is going on in the earth, because this is super funny. It's like a corona on times 100 extreme. Like a Lavana is corona. The antidote was made from the shells on Luna that she was keeping in like these weird things. He was just trying to ask her to the ball, and she's like, no, I'm not going to the ball. I'm not going to the ball. You won't like me. I'm a cyborg. Kai has to be more open-minded if he is going to hate on cyborgs, because they are literally a part of society. Someone having a scar and you going, ew. I enjoyed the relationships throughout the books. I really felt like, even though they were apart for most of it, if you really think about it, there was that constant, like, they were in each other's thoughts, they were in each other's mind, destined to be together, because at the very end, Kai was hunting for Princess Celine. I felt really sorry for Kai, and especially in book 1 and 2, the feeling that he got from having to obviously marry and partake in everything that Lavana wanted. I did not know how she had so much control. Like, if the whole of Earth rebelled against this evil bitch, we wouldn't have a series, obviously. If you had to marry Lavana, like, how weird is that? She is literally, how old? 10 years older than him. That jail scene at the very end of the book, how Dr. Erland gets her out of prison, was really freaking awesome. And he gave her like this new arm that could shoot things and has a flashlight and everything. Like, how handy is that? And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, you have to make your way to Africa. Like, she's sitting in a prison cell. You could literally like manipulate everyone in the building and help her get her out of there. The second book, we are starting to rebel in this book. We are starting to get more fierce, and the fight is on, and we find out more about Lavana's armor. How she gets these young men from different sectors, transforms them in a lunar way into these genetically made wolves that are manipulated by these thermothermos. I liked the Red Riding Hood theme through this book. Scarlet wore a hoodie, and that was the modern day representation of a cloak. Scarlet, I found a real breath of fresh air, a feisty French woman, and I really enjoyed her. It was really sad at the very beginning of the novel. Obviously her grandma gets kidnapped and she's trying to work out, you know, where she is. Dad ain't helping any one bit there, and it was so weird how he just died randomly out of this book. Michelle Binox was linked to the whole Princess Celine thing. We got to know more about why Cinder is the way she is. So there was that little room that was in the farm, in the shed, that was locked and like hidden away, and Cinder was obviously put there when she came to Earth and remodified and everything. So we're just gonna rewind for a moment and go to the Jailbreak Scene, because this is where we meet an important character in this book called Thorn. I thought he was sarcastic, a little bit loud and proud, a bit boisterous, bit out there. He did have like this heart on the inside. He was a little bit dumb, I must admit, especially in the scene where they went to the farm and in the room, like that child, and you could obviously tell it was Cinder because it was missing the same parts and he couldn't put 2 and 2 together. One thing I didn't enjoy about Thorn, and I knew this was part of his character because we had to have like a male character like this, was how he was very touchy, very feely, very flirty. His whole character development was actually going, no, I am the hero, I am the good guy, and obviously that was more brought out in Cress and Winter, how Aiko became the ship. I wouldn't mind having a ship like Aiko. Imagine having her in the car, like comes the radio or something like that. It'd be a friend to chat to. Wolf and Scarlet, now they were the main couple in this book. what are my thoughts on Wolf and Scarlet? I thought they were an angry couple. And not angry as in like each other, but they just had both feisty, weird personalities. Wolf was like having bipolar for me. I didn't kind of get him. I felt so sorry for Wolf throughout this whole series because can everyone just stay out of his brain? I was exhausted actually reading his scene. When he lost Scarlet and went into the Great Depression, it was so frustrating because he was acting like a freaking toddler and a dog. I felt like he's a dog, or he's a wolf. One of the scenes that was really like tension filled between obviously those two characters was the scene where Scarlet was captured, part of this group that was obviously trying to find Princess Selene, and they were on Earth. At one point I thought, oh my god, he actually is loyal to Scarlet, but then it quickly flipped in my head and I was like, no, I can't trust him because he had that guy that he was with was following them on the train, and then they jumped out of the train and that guy was still following them in the forest. To go on my tangent on Wolf, I actually literally thought he would turn into a werewolf. I thought we were getting Twilight here, but we weren't getting Twilight. That whole government thing where like the wolf trapped the grandma working for Lavana, I was kind of getting a little bit confused there. Back to that scene where like he puts the chip in their mouth to obviously get Scarlet out of there. I thought that was really weird, and that actually got me choking up because I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna swallow the chip. It's like at the very end she's like, okay, I'm your alpha female. Their relationship feelings happen very soon. She goes from hating him to really loving him and then not knowing if she can trust him, but then she loves him. I felt sorry again for Kai in this book, and I'm sorry, but sometimes his passages got really, really boring.
The world is ending. I have to marry Lavana. Princess Selene though is alive. I have to go through with the coronation. We've got nothing else.
Book 3, we get Cress's point of view. Cress was absolutely one of my favorites, even though she didn't believe in herself a lot. I really enjoyed her because she's a nerd. The whole point of Cress and how she was connected to this Rat Pack group, I'm gonna call them the Outcast group, Dr. Erland's daughter. He didn't even come out at the very beginning. Like, I would have thought he would have gone,
yeah, you're my daughter, Cress. Here's the DNA test straight away.
He kept it till the very last second. One word she said to him was goodbye. So Cress was born as a shell. She was taken away from her parents, obviously had this ability to be able to hack into things, and she became like the Queen's hacker. The Queen's person, because the whole time we thought that Cinder was putting the Mirage over the ship. This used to be the reason that they lasted on that ship for so long without being spotted. But it was actually Cress. She was the real hero the whole time. Really glad that her hair came off, like literally straight away in this book, because that would have driven me insane. I felt like she was the pinnacle of self-isolation that we're going through now with Corona. She was like trapped in that satellite. I would go insane, and it was so funny how she downloaded like this little program called Little Cress, a little version of her that she would talk to. That is sad being. That is sad. How do you do that to someone? We're gonna help you, Cress, you know, we're gonna get you, we're gonna this, we're gonna that, and then as soon as Sybil shows up, yeah, for all her smartness, why the hell did she program what was on the computer, the message, whatever that came up, as mechanic? Cress and Thorn reminded me of this really happy couple that is just, the guy's really big in the fairy tale and the girl's like really little. Thorn had to go through a lot of things, I feel like, in order to know more about himself and know where his feelings stood, obviously, for someone like Cress. And it was funny, Cress's perceptions of him, because she was so blinded. Like, this was like the first guy that she was in love with ever, because she has never been around any guys. To see how her perceptions on love changed, or just her feelings for Thorn when she actually found out it wasn't, the perception that she had in her head of him wasn't exactly how he saw himself. Every single time that, you know, he'd come out or he'd say something, don't talk to me, don't talk to me. How did they survive that fall and the trek through the freaking desert? I would have died just straight away. Thorn lost his sight. You know, Cress had to help him hike through the desert. You think those people that they stumble across in the desert are there to help them, and I thought they had really good intentions, but in the back of my brain I'm like, something is up here. Or like a trade where they sell people to people. They ended up just selling her to Dr. Erland, so they got to where they wanted to be anyway. Thorn was trying to like save her and find her and everything, and he couldn't even see, and he had his freaking cane, and it was, yeah, that was just really funny. Can we just talk about Cress being Houdini throughout this whole book? And Winter, I felt like, okay, the amount of times that Cress would hide, count it. She hid in like a closet, she was in the car. She crammed herself under a desk in winter. She crammed herself in the shelves, and Chris is Houdini. Scarlett in this book, I felt really sorry for her, because always it's like that second book that we get in a series or whatever is when the couple is always separated. Book 2, Kai and Cinder were separated, but they came together in this book again because Kai jumps on board the team. Scarlett and what she had to go through on there. Firstly, her finger got chopped off, and if that wasn't bad enough, she was manipulated by that little freaking beast trapped in a cage like Princess Winter's little toy. Aiko got a body in this book. Cress saw Thorn and he had like the robot on his lap, and then she got all jealous and she like ran out of there, but then that body I think ended up becoming Aiko's body. I felt really sorry for that body because it kept getting freaking destroyed. The Terminator, she just comes back and she just keeps going for it. In more so in winter that she was maybe gonna fall in love with that Kenny guard. It's like he saved her. They kept having interactions, so I'm instantly thinking the snippets we get of Lavana in this book are obviously starting to become a bit more deeper. We're starting to find out more about how her mind works, which some of the time I actually felt kind of sorry for her. I really love villains in books. I find them so interesting. Find out she does have flaws, but the whole time she's like, my country, my people, my this, my that, and I'm like, girl, just give it up, just make peace. Like, why does everything have to be so difficult? Can we talk about Kai being kidnapped and placed back on Earth and how weird and kind of pointless that was? Cinder storms into that, castle, she tranquilizes him, she takes him, she makes peace with Torrin, and he tells her about the other identity chick. Take him on the ship. Obviously that was really good for Cinder and Kai's relationship because they got to be together again. He accepted her for being a cyborg, and he got the kind of cute little lippy-doppy scenes I really enjoyed. They placed him back on Earth to tell Lavana, yo, we have to get married back on Lunar. That whole fanatical thing to steal him away, obviously with the wedding and everything that was going on. You wanted to kidnap that and make a huge scene. I get that, make a statement, get people worried, get them scared. You just place him back on Earth. Cinder drove Sybil mad. Obviously she's been practicing her powers now, she's more advanced with them, she gets them more, but how she drove Sybil to the point of insanity, and I'm like, why can't you do that to Lavana? Cress and Thorn kissed in that scene. Then we ended up adopting Jason. Jason's obviously Winter's love. I didn't know whether to trust Jason or I didn't know whether to like him, I didn't know what to think about him because he was so mechanical with the way that he thinks. Anyway, we are on Lunar now, we are in winter, 800 pages of amazingness. If you're gonna do a finale, you have to put everything in this finale, and I really feel like Marissa Meyer did. Firstly, this mental image of Lunar and the way I was imagining things, I actually found it really hard. Is they're on this giant moon, and the moon has like little roads and little passages and everything on it, but they're in this glass shell, and then like to go and get like transport, if you're leaving the moon, like you kind of just pop out of the moon's craters. Very Hunger Games, how you had, the workers and they were like on the outside and they were treated really badly. They watch the screen like the capital of the Hunger Games when someone dies, like that's something that goes on there. Winter was my least favorite princess. Jason and her, I did like them. Winter was quirky. She was naive. I understood why she was the way she was because obviously she didn't want to use her power. She didn't want to use it for bad. She was really good intended and everything, and she just didn't want to end up like Lavana because imagine living with someone like a Lavana. She got the scars from Lavana. She was so dumb. Like, I'm so sorry. Why would you accept and run into the woods where you're trying to be Snow White, but you don't know that, and accept candy from a stranger? Vanna in that scene, like, she could have just stormed in and destroyed her. She could have just killed her right then and there, gone bang. I got this perception that Jason was very, like, cold and calculated, obviously, in Cress, but we really got to know more about his personality. He's actually a really patient guy. When he helped Winter escape and he did that whole thing and he stabbed the wolf, to have the guts, like, his personality and his strength is unbelievable, and especially when you compete with someone like that Emery guy. He was super weird. Winter mind controlled Scarlett to stab him like 25 times, abuses all these women and proposes to Winter, and then obviously doesn't get accepted and then wants to kill everyone exactly like Lavana. Like, they're no better than each other. About how many times that Cinder survived death when she drowned. Quite funny. When in a person's house, that was obviously there for the wedding and the coronation and everything, stole their clothes, bathed in their areas, were in their thing without them coming home. Like, I thought that was super weird. Someone was like, oh yeah, why don't we put rice on that? Like, oh my god. You see Cinder as this strong character that she just fights. To be brought down by something like water, like, it shows that she is not perfect. That was something that ran through this book, the theme of not being perfect, because we perceive these Disney princesses and everything that runs through this as these perfect women or this perfect world. You see the struggle with these characters, this whole series, how they're trying to overtake evil, but you see that they're not perfect in themselves as well. With Winter, it was her bipolarish personality. You know, with Scarlet, she now has a pinky chopped off. Like, they all have these imperfections about them. Queen Levana has imperfections, and that whole end scene was something really interesting, especially from the villain's take. Levana, for all the evil that she is, has a story as well. Cinder's mother was the one that burnt her and made her have all these disfigurements that she was trying to hide her whole life. Wow, no wonder she has an angst against Cinder. She could have solved that and kept the glamour up or whatever and not been evil, but no wonder she turned out to be the way she was. And for a split second there, you actually felt a bit sorry for her. Is anyone going to talk about that guy, the electrician? Chris programmed the door not open, he was trying to fix, and he was like, I am the one with the most experiences, and the Levana just killed him. What a death. That didn't need to happen. He just rocked up to work, Levana, and you had to kill her. Wolf's mama in this book, I really felt like she started the revolution, because when she stood up, everyone listened to her. They didn't listen to 16-year-old Cinder. But not only that, she had all these random people turn up at her house, like, completely out of the blue. Can you imagine that? And she had nothing to serve. Like, she just had crackers. Winter having this fantastical idea, the genetically modified wolves will help her, and how she went with Scarlet to the underground whatevers, got the wolf pack together to obviously fight against Queen Levana's reign. I thought that was really brave, but Scarlet ended up doing all the comments, and what really annoyed me was the sexist comments that were made against these two women. The wedding and the coronation, man, these palaces need to get tighter security, because Cress and Thorn just snuck in there. I really felt bad for Kai. He should have just killed her when he had the chance there, but he did not. Thorn, how, you know, he lost his sight in this book, but then he got it back, but then he lost 2 fingers. The way that was like perceived about, oh, let's start like a fingerless club, I thought that was really funny. He stabbed Cress, like I felt like it was a really Romeo and Juliet type moment. And how Cinder got stabbed, like they were having this standoff with this guns and this mental power just going like, and she just shot Levana, like it was just that simple. I really felt sorry for Winter at the end of this whole series. Literally lost herself. Like, she went into this mental depression. All the other characters, how they got their happily ever after. I don't know how Scarlet and Wolf would go on the farm. And now Wolf, I felt really bad for him, because the moment he was away from like all that manipulation, he got manipulated again. But not only that, he got genetically modified features. Does that guy ever get a break? How are they going to do this? It'll be like a long distance relationship. Originally I thought that they might put Winter on the throne, Celine/Cinder. I thought she would be the Empress of Earth, and then Winter would run, you know, Luna and the Moon with Jason maybe. She's gonna run Luna at 16 years of age, and I love that first meeting, how everyone denied her, but she was so queen. The cure was the one cure all along, when I really thought that there'd be another cure, because wasn't there that stricken strain that kind of like came in and it went out, and it never really got solved. The fate of Aiko as well in this book. I really though thought she'd end up with the Kenny Guard, but she didn't. Overall, what a great series. What a great 2,000 pages overall read that was. Apparently now it's getting turned into an animation movie, like it's actually getting turned into a movie by DreamWorks. A lot of scenes that would adapt really well to the big screen or the small screen. What are your thoughts on the Cinder series? Thank you so much for watching. See ya!